y-intercept. So these are the pieces of information that I expect to see. You need to be able to sketch the graph. Okay. Sketching the graph involves labeling all of the following things. You should label the vertex. Okay. The behavior of the graph just determines is it opening up or opening down. You should label the axis of symmetry. You should label the y-intercept. And you should label one other solution point that lies on the graph. It'll take about one more minute to see how far you can get, and then I'll start talking through what you should be able to do. And again, I strongly encourage you to take notes on all these steps if any of them are confusing to you. Okay, let's go through this process. Okay, the first question, I think when I give you the test, this will be the first question that's asked, is what's the behavior of the graph? How can you tell? Thanks.
It's negative or positive.
Right. So is the leading coefficient negative or positive? Since it's negative, it's going to open down. Right. So that means when you label your vertex, which will be the second question, so I'll probably switch the order of these two. You should label the vertex opposite the direction it opens. Again, it reinforces the direction that it's opening, and it's not going to cross through the lines of your graph. So to find the vertex, we're going to use, we'll find the x-coordinate and y-coordinate separately. To find the x-coordinate of the vertex, we're going to use what equation? Lauren? Perfect. Okay, so when you are plugging this in, your equation needs to be written in standard form, which is the highest power, and then in decreasing order. And you can identify our a value is the coefficient of x squared, so negative 2. Our b value is the coefficient of x, positive 8. And our c value is the constant 6. Okay, so if we plug these numbers into our equation here, we get negative 8 over 2 times the negative 2. The signs cancel. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 goes into 8 twice. So the x-coordinate of our vertex is a 2. Okay. So how do we find the corresponding y-coordinate, Colin?
It's the last number.
Okay, now be careful. That's the y-intercept. The constant is going to be the y-intercept. So we can come down here and answer that. Our y-intercept is the point 0, and then whatever the c value is, 6. Okay. So right now, let's say we found this y-intercept and we know our graph opens down. Can you tell me like where you would estimate the vertex to be? Is the vertex going to be above this y-intercept or below it? If it's below, and the vertex is the point where it mirrors across, would this graph, if it was below, open down like we said? No, so you know it's going to be up here somewhere, right? And so how can we evaluate where that vertex is going to lie? We know it's x-coordinate. How can we find the corresponding y-coordinate? Yeah, just plug in 2 for the x value up here. So I'm going to do that with my calculator. Okay, so I'm going to take my equation, which was negative 2x squared plus 8x plus 6. I'm going to use the evaluate the width key vertical bar, x equal, and I want to find it when x is equal to 2. So when I evaluate it, it's 14. So here is my vertex way up here. So I can label this point 2, 14. I'm going to label it above because my graph is going to open down. Okay, so just with this information, finding the vertex and knowing the y-intercept, you can identify what your graph is generally going to look like. Okay. Now, once you find this value, the x-coordinate of your vertex, what other information can you identify here? Rebecca?
Can you go back to what you type into your calculator?
Well, you type in this whole equation here, and then use the vertical bar, the with key, x equal to, and you're going to plug in this number so that you can evaluate what that equation is when x is 2. Bless you. All right, so based on this, we know that this graph is going to be mirrored across this line. Okay, there's the axis of symmetry. And it's simply going to be x is equal to whatever the x-coordinate is of your vertex, once again, and that is your axis of symmetry. So x equals 2. Again, whatever that number is will be the axis of symmetry. And then you have one last thing that you need to do. You need to find one other solution point. Hey, when you find this other solution point, please put it on the other side of the axis of symmetry. So I don't want you to find the value when x is 1. You can find the value of any point that corresponds over on this other side. Okay, and so what would be a point that we could evaluate? I'm going to redraw this line just a little more accurately so that it looks like it's reflected. And what if I find the x-coordinate or the set of points when x is, again, I need to pick some value to the right of this line of symmetry, so any number greater than 2. So let's say I pick 3. How can I evaluate and find what is the x-coordinate going to be here? So again, approximately right here when x is 3. Eddie? Good, same thing. Go back to your calculator. You already have your equation typed in. You've already evaluated it for one number. Just change that number. So if we plug in, again, the same equation, we're going to test it for when x is 3. Hit enter, and we get 12. So how close was I with my estimation based just on my sketch here? Is this number up here approximately 12? Yeah, it's pretty close. So again, using that to estimate and consider you're relatively close. It's consistent with what your sketch looks like, and so that will give you your other point. Okay, so you need to be able to find all these pieces of information. Are there questions on any of these steps?